I'm real excited that I get to talk to you today about care. As you might imagine, it's important to us at LCBC, and it's not just important because we're a church. It's important because it's what people need, and I think we have a unique opportunity to meet that need. So I want to start out having you think about a time when you felt cared for. Who was involved? What specifically did they do? How did that make you feel? See, it's real important to us here at LCBC that folks are cared for. It's one of the primary purposes for why we do groups. And the reason is simple, because people matter and life gets difficult. If you've been here at all for any number of years, you've probably seen David draw the diagram, kind of the continuum of life with its ups and downs. And it just, the highs, those peaks are more fun when you have people there with you, and the valleys are definitely easier to endure if you're doing them, if you have people walking with you alongside of them. And so people matter and life is difficult. I can't tell you, some of the saddest conversations that I have as a pastor is with folks that are walking through deep waters and they don't feel like they can name anyone that can walk along with them in that season. And so groups provide a place for people to be known in smaller settings and to connect with others so that we can help move them from that place of isolation to connection. Now, it's my assumption that you want to be a great leader. And so in order to be a great leader, you have to create a culture of belonging. Our vision at LCBC is that we would be a church where everyone can have a seat, literally meaning where anybody who comes in the doors has a place here. And we hope the same thing happens in your home and in your group, that anyone is welcome to come there. We hope that everybody walks through the doors, it has an opportunity to be a part of a group. It's so important to us here at LCBC that we make it a priority, that we track it. We know how many folks are in a group. Right now, across all of our locations, we're hovering right at about 60% of the people that attend LCBC are in some type of group in some way. And you might look at that and think, that's a great number. And it is a great number, but it's not everybody. And so we don't feel like we're done yet. And 100% may be unattainable, but it sure is worth running after because of the benefits that come along with it. So I want to, as you might imagine, I want to take a look at the life of Jesus to give us a little bit of perspective on how to do care. And if you're anything like me, you're thinking, oh great, you want me to be Jesus. And I would say, yes, he is kind of our model for what a truly remarkable life looks like. But it's not like we're going to ask you to raise the dead or anything like that. I just want you to, as you look and see, as you read through the stories of the life of Jesus, watch for how Jesus responds in care. And then do likewise. I suspect as you watch Jesus in the Gospels respond in the way he cares, it's probably very similar to some of the experiences that you thought of earlier when I asked you to think about being cared for. We see Jesus weeping with people. We see him touching people that have diseases. We see him willing to have dinner with outcasts. We see him welcoming those that no one else wanted to associate with. We see him stopping, even when the timing wasn't ideal for him, to notice somebody in a crowd. And on one particular occasion, Jesus was looking to get some time away by himself. He had just lost one of the people closest to him, one of his best friends, and in a tragic way, that man was executed. And so he was trying to pull away with some of his best friends. They'd gotten into a boat, were going off onto a lake just to get away for a little while. And there were thousands of people on shore. And as they sailed along the lake, the people followed along with them. And so they couldn't escape the crowds. When they pulled in on the boat, the crowds were all there surrounding them. And Jesus could have pushed through the crowds. But he chose not to. He chose to stop, to set aside like what he felt like he needed in the moment for the good of someone else. Now, I suspect that he got that downtime at another time. So I'm not saying don't get downtime. I'm just saying in the moment he set aside what he felt like he needed or wanted for the good of others. And Mark, one of Jesus's followers, tells us in Mark 6:34 that when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them. And he saw them because they were sheep. They were like sheep without a shepherd. So why did Jesus feel that compassion? Because he knew people matter to God, and so they need to matter to us. Every person that he locked eyes with, every person that we lock eyes with, matters deeply to God, and so they ought to matter to us as well. There's somebody that Jesus died for, and so we ought to steward that well. So what do? What's that mean for us as group leaders? Again, the bar's not set all that high, but we have to provide a genuine love to people and truly care for them and have a burden for them. So let me talk to you about a couple of real practical ways of doing that, ways that you can do it. One, maybe the first one is just be aware of what's going on in people's lives. And it's true, you can't care about what you don't know about. And so part of being a group leader is just building genuine relationships with people and taking an interest in them and what's going on in their lives. And so that means ask what's going on in their lives. And then maybe both in your own life, but in your group experience too, provide a place for people to share what's going on in their lives. Follow up on prayer requests. See how things are going, see how things are progressing. Notice events like birthdays and anniversaries and kids' events. And so maybe one practical way is just be aware of what's going on in other people's lives. Another is consider yourself a first responder. Our role is to step up and help fill in those gaps when life gets difficult. And so maybe it's babysitting for that couple that desperately needs a date night. Maybe it's changing your plans to attend a funeral that was unexpected. I don't know, maybe it's providing meals for a family who just had a baby. I'm walking through some deep waters right now in my life, and so some of the people that I thought of when I asked you to think about how you'd felt and received care before came to mind that are doing that for me now. One is a friend that just sent me a text today just to check in and see how I'm doing. Another is another real good friend who I feel like it's almost weekly. He sends me a song that's rocking his world and hoping that somehow I'll be reminded of how God loves me as a result of it. Another friend just asked me if I wanted to go to lunch and unpack kind of these deep waters that I'm walking through. So like I said, the bar's not set super high, and it's really just responding in a natural way, but feeling responsible to respond. Maybe another way, so be aware of what's going on in people's lives. Consider yourself a first responder. This next one is maybe a little bit how you do that, and I want to give you permission to know and set realistic limitations. And so I want you to hear me say, we're not expecting you to be Dr. Phil. We're not expecting you to be able to solve everybody's problems. I mean, think about it. You can't solve all your own problems. How would we expect you to solve theirs? We're just expecting you to be a listening ear and to let folks know that they're not alone. I want you to feel like it's not necessarily your responsibility to do all these things. My wife Jamie and I have led groups for years, probably literally dozens of groups, and I have always felt comfortable being the one leading the study and maybe being the overall leader of the group, but I am never the one that schedules where we're meeting next time. I'm never the one that figures out who's bringing what snacks and organizes all that. I want you to feel permission to give that away. And in fact, I want you to feel like you should give that away to somebody else. As the leader, it's your responsibility to lead, but not necessarily to do everything. If your group wants to do activities together, I don't think I ever planned an activity, and yet we did a lot of activities together. And so I want you to, again, feel like I want you to set realistic limits for yourself, but also just give things away. And maybe one more thing that I'd ask you to do is, as you hear about significant life events going on in the lives of your groups, feel free to pass those on to the leadership at your location and let them know what's going on. You might be surprised about how we find out about things going on in folks' lives, and a lot of times it's through someone else just letting us know that this has happened. Yeah, I'm real excited that I got to be the one to talk with you about care, and I'm especially excited that you have decided to take this step to become a group leader at LCBC. I want you to know that I'm praying for you and that I'm thankful.